Believe it or not, we got it for like less than $10,000. County's got it valued over 137, but
Wow.
it does need a fair amount of work, but still it was a great deal. And 12 to 15% is a pretty good rate of return. And just like I said, it's set it and forget it. Many of your hedge funds and large banks, Kidder Peabody, just all your big banks, Bank of America, they invest in tax liens.
All right, welcome back to George Wright III. We've got a really good topic today. It's one that I've been familiar with for a while, and I've got a special guest, Dale Merkord. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good, good. It's good that we're able to finally get together because I want to share some topics today that you are an expert at, and we're always talking about ways that people can increase their life and their lifestyle, whether it's their mind, money, body, business. This is going to be one of those wealth planning type episodes. So let me give everybody an introduction for you. If you don't know Dale, he's a seasoned real estate investor. He specializes in U.S. tax liens and tax deeds. But he's the founder, one of the founders of Certainty Investment Group. It's a firm known for providing investors with 12 to 15% annual returns, fully secured by real estate. But he's really passionate about just simplifying the whole complex, state and county tax sale process. So I'm excited to talk to him a little bit about this. Really, it's a secret, I feel, of like the high net worth that is not often shared. So, Dale, could you start out by just giving us a bit of, you started pursuing bank foreclosures before moving into tax liens and deeds. Give us your background and what brought you into this whole category of information.
Yeah, I started out being a realtor. I've been a realtor in 3 states, and and then also got soon after I became a realtor, I got involved in investing. Typically, bank foreclosures. That's where I kind of started. And I remember I attended one of the many county auctions, and on the side I noticed this guy's doing a different type of sale. Guys from the sheriff's department. So this was many years ago, and then I just inquired about it. That just fascinated me. Uh, Tax sales have been going on like 200 years. A lot of them have been doing the same way for 200 years.
Yeah.
And there's over 1,000 jurisdictions that do tax sales. Some of them do them every month, but some just do 3 or 4 a year. But every state does have different rules, and even every county in each state can have their own rules, and even some cities and jurisdictions do their own. So it can be quite a daunting and complicated process.
Yeah, I've noticed, especially over the years, talking with individuals that are trying to really expand their retirement or their portfolio and their investments. There's so many things that you just don't realize or you don't know. Just like you had said, you kind of came across it. So maybe for those that are not familiar with tax liens and deeds, give us a little bit of the understanding on what that is and what the process is before we get into a lot of details about kind of what you guys do, because I think there's a lot of people that don't realize and understand what a tax lien and deed is.
Yeah, tax liens and deeds are the way states and counties operate. It's what funds schools, uh, city services, everything. It's like the almost the lifeblood of counties and jurisdictions.
Well,
Every
and
year,
go ahead.
yeah, every year, like everybody else, there's property taxes to pay, and some people get behind, and if every state's different, but after a while, they just say enough is enough, and they put it up for sale through auctions, and that's where investors such as myself and others come in and buy either the tax liens or deeds. You know,
Yeah, but a lot of people don't really understand that there's a lot of complexity to it, right? Because all the different states and jurisdictions are different, and also they don't understand that there is some guaranteed returns that are happening. Why is it that you can say there's guaranteed returns for these liens and deeds?
yeah, especially that's referring to the liens,
Right.
tax certificates that they're also called. And every state's different. Some states offer 8%, some states offer 14, 15, up to even 20%, some states. And it's a mandated rate of return, mandated by the state. Um, and that we do a lot of that. We also do tax deeds where you actually buy the property and get a deed to it.
because each of the, different states are differently, right? So you guys have been doing this for a while, and you kind of know where to go and what to do. What kind of challenges do people face when they kind of jump into this market with this type of investing?
Well, it's a tedious process. The state gives you very, very little information on the property other than legal description. Other than that, you've got to go pretty much find out everything on your own, whether regarding liens, physical condition, does the property even exist? For instance, a lot of times if the county may provide a picture, most don't.
Yeah.
But even if they do, you've got to go. That picture could be 3 or 4 years old. It could have come off of Google Maps or Zillow, or so you have to look at every property. Otherwise, you may buy a property and it's either in very bad condition and you couldn't tell by the picture.
Well, and you have a good example of this, right? Like, what's an example of something people think they can kind of go get into this type of investing on their own, and they don't realize the challenges that they have to navigate. Do you have an example you could kind of share
Oh,
of when that happened?
many, many, but in particular, there's a pretty famous story about a father and son team, and they bought what they thought was a beautiful, expensive home in Florida. And you know, at the auction, they were just going by the address. And sometimes the address is not the actual. Anyways, here's what happened with them. They bought a property thinking they were getting the whole house and everything else. But what they bought was a strip of land between that property and the next property. It was
Oh my gosh.
it was like just about barely enough to put a lawn chair in. In fact, they have a video of them sitting on the property they bought in a lawn chair in front of they could see the house, but they were just sitting on their little strip of land.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times people feel like they can go just get into topics without getting some of that knowledge and experience that's already happened. And, like you said, it's a complex deal. So help us understand, what makes tax lien and deeds investing so much different than traditional real estate strategies in terms of opportunity and risk?
Well, they can be, very, very lucrative, but it's a very hands-on process. And sometimes you can get property for 10, 20 cents on the dollar. But like I said, you've got to do tons of research and due diligence prior. You have to physically go look at every property. Last month was a good example. The last auction I went to, there was they had about 150 properties, about 75 I determined to be pretty possibly good targets. So I did my due diligence on 75 properties, and then actually went to see over 50 of them. And then you do all that work, and at the last minute, they get the people pay their taxes because they can pay up to the last minute or last day anyway.
Yeah.
And then they pull the property out the sale, and many are get pulled prior to sale. So that's part of the process you just have to go through. So you have to look at 50 to 100 properties to get one or two good deals.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very tedious process from what I've heard. I've got several buddies of mine that have been investing in liens and deeds over the years. So now your company, Certainty Investment Group, it offers investors 12 to 15% returns that are guaranteed and secured by real estate. But can you kind of help us to understand, because you mentioned it a little while ago, how can you achieve those kinds of consistent safe returns with this investing?
Well, like I said, tax sales can be very lucrative if done properly. So if you get a property at a good enough price, you can afford to pay investors 12 to 15%. You
Well, and
just
you
have to
guys,
be careful.
yeah, I was going to say, and unlike a lot of in this particular type of investing, there's a lot of gurus and education, providers and stuff out there. You guys your company decided not to just sell information. You handle all the due diligence and inspections for your investors. And why did you decide to build your business this way? And how does it kind of set it apart from what a lot of other people are doing in the industry overall?
Yeah, we've always been hands on, and right from the start, we wanted to not just we don't teach people how to do this. We don't, there's no courses or anything we have. Um, what we do is it's like a set it and forget it investment almost. We do all the necessary due diligence and fiscal inspections. We do it all, and they can sit back as passive investors and just make a good attractive return.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So you mentioned that, a lot of times photos aren't, the photos online don't always tell the full story of the property itself. How do you make sure that your team gets the accurate picture before making investment decisions and with your clients?
Well, first we start online and do everything we can online, and then we actually make a list and go visit the properties and take our own photos. And if we and these are, they're not open houses or anything. They're not actually on the market even. These are just tax sales coming up at a possibly coming up at a tax sale. So you have to find out if they're occupied, and if so, are they occupied by a tenant or by the owner? And if you rarely you can get in some of them, but typically you have to if vacant properties. You just look through windows. Some of them are so bad they're just wide open to people. They're
Mm.
wide open. But we just do our best to assess the condition of the property, including the roof, especially, and electric panels, things like that, and just do a preliminary estimate of repairs necessary.
So that's what you guys do. And so obviously that kind of helps a lot. What do you see happening in the industry right now? Like, do you see, things shifting any particular direction? I mean, you got a pretty good heartbeat and rhythm on the market right now. And where do you do most of your investing?
We specialize in Arkansas and Mississippi, and some in Texas. Those are our key markets.
Have those markets changed much over the last little while? Like, what's the state of the marketplace right now? In other words, I think, sometimes people are wondering if the timing's right, or whether or not, the conditions of the market are really affecting this type of investing one way or the other. What's the latest state of the union there?
Well, it's tax sales happen every year regardless. Everybody's got their own situation. And like I said, they've been going on for 200 years. People have been, gotten in trouble and lost their properties for for a long time. And that doesn't change much. It's a little worse in bad economies, but it's not necessarily. It just happens pretty much every year regardless.
Yeah, it's interesting regardless of market conditions, right, too, because
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is sort of unrelated to that as well. I found that a lot of times you made the comment, set it and forget it. So what type of investors generally are investing in this type of market? Are they individuals that are just looking for a rate of return versus active real estate investing? And what are the types of individuals you generally work with? Because the reason I ask this question is there may be some individuals that really have not done any investing. They've got some retirement accounts they're trying to do things with, or maybe they're an active real estate investor. What type of person works well with this type of an investment?
Most anybody really, especially those with IRAs, because you can self-direct your IRA and invest in anything. So we have a lot of people that redirect their IRAs with us. But
But
like
a
I
lot
said,
of people that probably don't want to have to do all the work and things like that, they're like, I want to be able to set and forget it. Is probably
oh
what
yeah,
you guys work with, right?
yeah, this is investing in tax sales can be a full-time job. I mean, it's not for the
Yeah.
it, it it's you have to devote a lot of time to it. So most people would just they're busy with their life and business, their work, and they just want an attractive return, a safe, attractive return. That's where we come in.
Yeah, that's great. Can you give me an example of like some deals that went really well? Like maybe you've got an example of some deals that you guys have done recently or whatever that went well, so people can get an idea or scope of how these liens and deeds can pay off in a big way.
Yeah, this last week is a pretty good example. I've looked at 50 properties scattered in 3 different counties and went through the whole auction, and finally picked up a few good deals. One of them was a commercial building, 6,000 square feet. Believe it or not, we got it for like less than $10,000. County's got it valued over 137, but it does
Wow.
need it does need a fair amount of work. But still, it was a great deal.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you guys are looking for those in particular, and you've got the team in place to take care of them. It sounds like.
oh yeah, like I said, at that auction alone, I looked at over 50 properties and ended up with buying 3 or 4.
Wow. Wow. Now, do you guys? You said you don't normally. You're not out selling education. You're doing the investing, but do you provide some education for if somebody wanted to get started working into liens and deeds? You basically hands on. kind of talk them through things, or is it primarily just investors that you were working with that are just usually investing in the properties?
Yeah, any question related to investing, but we don't offer, how to do it yourself. We just don't want to get into that. There's plenty of guys out there that do that. But
Yeah.
any question regarding how does this work, regarding their investment with us, we answer pretty much any question.
What would you say, and this is probably a real key point, what would you say are some of the common mistakes that investors make in this space, when they try to get started in doing things, and how can they avoid those?
Oh, mainly they get all excited when they hear some of these webinars. There's plenty of them out there on tax sales, and they make it sound easy, and they jump in and either go to an auction, or many auctions are done online nowadays, and that can be good or bad. Because they make it, some of the counties that do online auctions, they make it so easy to sign up and buy a property.
Right.
But there's so many people that make mistakes that way. You've got to do your own you got to do your due diligence and look at the properties in person.
Yeah, no, it's like anything else, right? But especially if they're online, you don't really have a whole lot of experience. You wouldn't know where to go or what to do with it. So that's a great point. So if somebody wanted to invest passively with your company, or into, I guess specifically, what's the biggest value that you provide for them? Like, what would you say is the biggest reason they should work with you guys?
Well, we know what we're doing. We've been doing it quite a while. We buy properties right. So their investment's fully secured, and 12 to 15% is a pretty good rate of return. And just like I said, it's set it and forget it. They can be passive investors and just enjoy a good return. And we give quarterly reports and report, how things are doing, what we're doing, how the properties are doing, things like that.
I love it. I love it. Cool. Well, so if people want to be able to get in touch with you, they want to connect with you, where would they do that? Like, where's the easiest way for them to connect with you? And I can certainly put all this in the show notes as well.
Yeah, best way is we have a great website. There's even some videos on it. Anyway, certaintyinvestmentgroup.com, certaintyinvestmentgroup.com. And that's the best way. And they can call me or Buddy direct. I can give you my phone numbers if you
Yeah,
think
and I
that's
can
good.
in fact, I'll put all that stuff down in the show notes. And so if you're listening to
Yeah.
this and you're like, look, I get a little interested, or I've been doing some things before and I don't feel like doing the work myself, or you've struggled with in the real estate investing world, but you wanted to get involved with something in liens and deeds, I'll put those in the show notes. I'll make sure that individuals can kind of connect with you and follow you guys. You have a lot of hands-on stuff going, so that's pretty exciting for most people. And is there any tips that you would give before we, kind of end here? Is there any tips that you have for someone that's interested in getting started into this arena, or maybe they're in this arena right now because you guys are experts in this stuff? What tips or strategies would you kind of lay out for somebody that's thinking about that?
I would say visit our website and give us a call. And anytime we take calls all the time. And do your own due diligence, and look into us. And also just do a general search on tax sales and tax deeds, and that'll give them just an overall view,
Basic knowledge first, yeah.
basic knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like anything else. Due diligence is the key, right? So whether it's your education, information, or whether it's the actual, investing itself, that's why it's good. I talk to a lot of people about the value of having, mentors or masterminds, individuals that have done it, that know what they're doing, and working with them, because it saves a lot of. It's what I say. There's like a little bit of belief transference that happens, because when someone knows what they're doing in the right market, with the right strategy, with the right type of investing, it sure cuts the learning curve out. And when you're investing your money, learning curve is the last thing you really want to have to go through. So, right?
Yes. Life is a complicated process, and it's best to deal with a specialist, because even in real estate, there's just so many different ways you can invest in real estate. But like I said, I think tax sales and deeds are a very lucrative way to do it if done right.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what we specialize in. So
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's something that's been going on for hundreds of years, and yet most people are not aware of it. But there again, I find that most of the secrets of the high net worth are not ones you learn in school. They're not ones that you just stumble across. And so that's why we wanted to be able to bring the topic up with everybody listening today.
Oh, and an interesting fact is, many people don't know this, but many of your hedge funds and large banks, Kidder Peabody, just all your big banks, Bank of America, they invest in tax liens.
Yeah, that's right, because it's a guaranteed return. I mean, think about it. It's
Yeah.
like you're going to have something guaranteed by the government, it's secured by collateral. All these things are. There's just a lot of safety measures, I think, there, which is why those guys are going to do that, right?
That's right, and they invest millions at a time doing that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, cool. Well, I hope, if you're listening to this episode, I hope you learned a little something, but more than anything else, I hope you'll jump in and, check these guys out, see what you can do to, take advantage of opportunities that they might have, or information, education they have, because they've got a blog on their site. They've got a bunch of things that you can go to reference. But more than anything else, like I say on all of our podcasts, it's never too late to start living the life you're meant to live and doing the things you want to do. So if you've thought about investing, you want to grow your wealth, tax liens and deeds is definitely something for you to check out. And I look forward to talking with you more. So if hit us up, make sure that we know whether or not you have any questions, what you're up to, what you're winning at. And we look forward to talking with you again next week. Have an amazing day.